Trump's 28-point peace plan has been put out by the Ukraine media, I believe. We're just gonna go through it real quick and see if this thing is even gonna work. So first things first, Ukraine's sovereignty will be confirmed. Okay, that's good. That's a good thing here. A full and comprehensive non-aggression agreement will be concluded between Russia, Ukraine, Europe, and all ambiguities of the past 30 years will be considered resolved. I'm not even sure what this even means. All ambiguities of the past 30 years will be considered resolved. What? Okay. Um, it is expected that Russia will not invade neighboring countries. It is expected. What is that? Expected. No, it needs to be guaranteed, right? Um, so that's not good. A dialogue will be concluded between Russia and NATO, mediated by the United States to resolve all secure. Mediated by the United States. The United States is in NATO. They're both mediating it and part of it at the same time. Uh, okay. Ukraine will receive reliable security guarantees. This is a key piece for a deal with you for Ukraine to come on board with a deal. But they have to flesh this out, right? This has to be more clear. The size of the armed forces of Ukraine will be limited to 600,000 personnel. Honestly, if you have security guarantees, depending on from which country these security guarantees are from, having 600,000 strong military, it's not that bad. Six is going to heavily depend on what five is and who five is. Is it security guarantees from the US or is it from the UK? Right? Like, what are we talking about here? Ukraine guarantees to enshrine its constitution that it will not join NATO. I mean, this is fine. It doesn't need, they don't need to be in NATO. They just need security. They just need a security pact, right? NATO agrees not to deploy troops in Ukraine. NATO agrees not to deploy troops in Ukraine. This does not sound good. The word deploy here, like I don't know if this is the final wording or if things are being lost in translation because this did come from Ukraine. Like I would have to see what the actual paperwork is like. If the wording is this is bad wording here. NATO deployed troops to Ukraine. If it said NATO agrees not to station troops in Ukraine, that's one. But deploy troops in Ukraine, why would a deal have this in it? If Russia has no more ambition, then why would NATO have to deploy to Ukraine then? Right? European fighter aircraft will be stationed. Okay, that this is European fighter aircraft already stationed in Poland. This is why is this even in here? What is it that even? Um, U.S. guarantees the United States will receive compensation for the guarantee. Compensation. What does that even mean? How much money do you think Ukraine has? Uh, if Ukraine invades Russia, it will lose the guarantee. What is is it the defense? Is this related to the defense? Ukraine has to pay the United States. What are they paying exactly? Yeah, all of this has to be fleshed out, right? Yeah, that doesn't sound right. Is Russia also paying in this too? What if they stop? Like this is just not very clear. So we're just gonna skip it. I don't know what any of this means exactly. If Russia invades Ukraine, in addition to a decisive coordinated military response, decided coordinated military response from who? From the United States? But this is the wording needs to be more precise still. All global sanctions will be reinstated. Recognition of new territories and all other benefits of this deal will be revoked if Ukraine without cause launches missiles at Moscow or St. Petersburg. The security guarantee. Why do we have these redundant? Why do they have just one point that says Ukraine will not attack Russia unprovoked? Why does it need to be like, oh, you can't invade and also you can't shoot missiles? Like what? Why is this so redundant? What is this? Who wrote this? Ukraine retains the right to EU membership. Okay, EU membership, that's cool. That's fine. A global package of measures for the reconstruction of Ukraine, including but not limited to a creation of a Ukraine Development Fund. This is good, I guess. The United States will cooperate on the joint reconstruction monitoring of Ukraine's gas infrastructure. Okay. Joint efforts to restore war-affected territories, including reconstruction and modernization of cities, residential areas. All of this is fine and not really a big deal. World Bank will. Russia will be reintegrated into the global economy. What does that even mean? This is neither up to the United States or up to Russia or up to Ukraine. So this is a nothing burger line. Uh, Lifting sanctions will be discussed and agreed upon gradually and on an individual basis. Okay. The United States will conclude long-term economic cooperation agreement aimed at mutual development of fields of energy, natural resources, infrastructure, artificial intelligence, data processing centers, rare earth. Okay, man. Russia will be invited to return to the G8. Okay. Frozen assets will be used in the following way. 100 billion frozen Russian assets will be invested in U.S.-led reconstruction and investment efforts in Ukraine. The United States will receive 50% of the profits from its undertaking. Trump is really about that. Like, he has to get something out of this. Oh man, frozen European assets will be unfrozen. I mean, frozen Russian assets will invest in a separate American-Russian investment vehicle. Is this what they meant by U.S. will be compensated? Is this the part of it? Is this the compensation, or is there more to it? A joint American-Russian review security issues will be okay. Like a lot of this stuff is very like Russia will enshrine a policy of non-aggression towards Europe and Ukraine. And since Russia will agree to extend the validity of the treaties, no profit, including START 1. Okay, that's fine. Ukraine agreed to remain a non-nuclear state in accordance with the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant will be restarted. Both countries introduce educational programs in school that promote understanding and tolerance of different cultures and elimination of racism and prejudice. What this means, nobody knows. Ukraine will adopt EU rules on religious tolerance and protection of linguistic minorities. Okay. Both countries agree to lift all discriminatory measures and guarantees the right of Ukrainian media education. Um, all Nazi ideology activity must be rejected and prohibited. Okay, man. Okay, here's the important part. Crimea, Luhansk, Donetsk will be recognized as de facto Russian territory, including by the United States. Okay. You see, not that this is a big issue for Ukraine. If up here, the security guarantees are a mutual defense, or not mutual defense, but a defense treaty where if Ukraine is attacked, then the United States is compelled to respond against whoever the aggressor is. If that's that, then Ukraine would have no problem ceding territory for that. But Ukraine accepting this is going to be really dependent on what the security guarantees are. Kherson and Zaporizhzhia will be frozen along the lines of contact. So they basically go away giving away half of whatever the Russians have, right? I mean, or Zaporizhzhia wise, especially. Ukraine renounces other Russia renounces annexed territories, probably referring to Russian occupied parts of Kharkiv, Sumy. It's very hard to read this thing because everything is so together. Why didn't this guy space this out? What was wrong with this guy? It's just a big block of text. Like, very hard to read. But anyway. Ukraine forces withdraw from parts of Donetsk about the currently control. Withdrawal zone will be regarded as neutral territory, demilitarized buffer zone. Internationally recognized as territory belonging to the Russian Federation. Russian forces will not enter this demilitarized zone. Okay. I don't know how the planning of that looks. But okay. After future territorial arrangement are agreed, both the Russian Federation and Ukraine undertake not to change these arrangements by force, and the security guarantees will not apply in the event of violation of this commitment. Okay. Wait, what? What is this? After future territorial agreements are agreed, both Russian Federation should not undertake not to change. Wait. After future territorial agreements are agreed, both the Russian Federation and Ukraine undertake to not change these arrangements by force. Any security guarantees will not apply. What? What is the wording on this stuff? What if it's Russia that violates it? Does it void Ukraine's security guarantee? This stuff needs to be very. Yeah, the wording on this has to change a lot, right? Um, or maybe it's just a translation thing. Maybe I don't know. Russia will not obstruct Ukraine's commercial use of the Dnieper River, whatever. Humanitarian guarantee will be created to humanitarian committee will be created to resolve outstanding. All remaining prisoners and bodies will be exchanged off. All civilian detainees. This agreement will be legally okay. The issue I see here, if Ukraine can get an actual robust security guarantee from the United States or from NATO as a whole, I think they have no issues accepting this. Funny enough, the person that's gonna have a problem with this arrangement here, if the wording gets fixed and Ukraine gets that guarantee, it's gonna be the Russian government, right? Because all this fighting they did for the past what? How many years? 3 years. They lost more than 1 million soldiers. What are they getting out of this, really? Well, you got a few pieces of land. This doesn't. Yeah, there's nothing in this really. Like that land. There's not like it's not like there's like a crazy amounts of oil there, like, where you just get to like. There's not much they're getting out compared to what they lost. This is nothing. And from here, they're gonna go back to having. They're gonna try to switch over to a regular economy from a wartime economy. It's gonna be really bad. Where they actually have to look inwards and contend with all the damage they've done to their economy. This would be terrible for the Putin regime and his regime security. Uh, yeah, or maybe he can try to sell this. Maybe he's like, okay, we can try to get this and then sell it as a win to the Russian people. The Russian people are not going to think this is a win by any stretch of the imagination. You think they're going to try to sell it? It's probably not going to work. If this is their plan, then it's foolish. I don't think Putin is that foolish. I don't think it goes. I don't think he goes along with this. I don't think he goes along with this. I see people on Twitter talking about, oh, Ukraine this, Ukraine that. Ukraine is not. But like I said, Ukraine is looking for security. And if they can get that, the territory doesn't matter as much because what were they fighting for in the first place? They're fighting for their sovereignty and security. That's what they want. What do the Russians want? Regime security. Putin wants to make sure he's secure. And the regime is not going to just collapse and get done up like Gaddafi did. And right now, if Ukraine can get what they want, it doesn't seem like he's going to. Getting these little pieces of land, it doesn't satisfy what they've lost. And it's not going to go well for them. So, I don't think Russia actually goes through with this, but we'll see.